Hello friends, welcome to WowIS. This is the last edition of the April 2023 current affairs, and in this portion we are going to cover ethics first. In this initiative we are going to give you summaries of the Vision Monthly magazine which will not be more than 50 pages, and it will be at a only nominal price of 599 rupees. You will be also provided video lectures under this initiative. To enroll in the initiative, you can directly pay on this QR code, and you can send the receipt to us on our email address. Now let's move to the today's article first of all. The first article for today is Ethics of Migration. World Bank in World Development Report 2023 has proposed an integrated framework to maximize and the development impacts of the cross-border movements of both destination and origin countries on migrants and refugees themselves. Migrants have been seen both as asset as well as liability. Now, if we see what are the ethical interests of different stakeholders, first is individual. Individuals, they search for a more decent life. They expect a place where they are reallocating should treat them equivalent to their own citizens. What is the expectation of the origin country? The conflict between individual right to exist and their territories in these states' efforts to regulate the recruitment and protect the rights of the citizen working abroad. It brings remittances on, and on the other hand causes brain drain migration of the talented people. For the destination country, they want to receive only productive migrants and refugees. Also, they are not open to migration above a certain limit, and it may impact the demographic changes and resource utilization patterns. For rescuers, tensions felt by rescuers between, on one hand, the humanitarian imperative to help people in need, and on the other hand, the danger by doing so one might become co-opted into the violent practices of either states or human smugglers. Then international organizations such as International Organization for Migration oversee that migrant rights are well protected wherever they live. Now, what are the ethical issues in migration and refugee policies? First of all, the issue of violation of rights. Migration policies do not comply with the rights enshrined in the international laws such as Universal Declaration of Human Rights 1948, International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights 1966, UN General Assembly Resolution on Protection of Migrants 2014, etc. Second is utilitarian approach. The policies give priority to migration of skilled workforce and discourage distress migration and refugees. Third, means and end. Labor policy economics emphasize the movement of workers across borders to countries where their labor can be employed more productively than in their origin countries. Humanity's perspective is missing from it. So this is important. Next is apathy. The thousands of migrants and refugees who move to the destination place, they actually die in that journey. North African migration to Europe is a relevant example of this. You can quote this example there also. Then sensitiveness. At the global level, policies have not been formulated to deal with this fresh wave of climate refugee and migrants. Then ethics of temporary labor migration programs, TLMPs. Faced with labor and skill shortages in sectors such as social care and food production, many high-income countries have been actively considering the expansion of TLMPs, including for lower-skilled migrant workers. TLMPs violate principles of domestic equality because they always afford migrant workers more restricted rights than those enjoyed by the citizens. So this is also one of the ethical issues. Now, what is the impact of migration and refugee policy making? When the ethical principles are not incorporated and when they are incorporated. So, we are going to discuss this aspect with respect to two phases. First of all, when the migration policies have been framed, they do not incorporate the ethical principles, and second part is when they incorporated the ethical principles. So first of all, if the ethical principles are not incorporated, the migrants are treated as secondary citizens. They are subordinate. When ethical principles are incorporated, they are treated equally in different arenas. Rights. Social and political rights are not entitled to them in case of ethical principles not been incorporated. And on the other hand, they enjoy all rights in an effective manner. The potential is that they are not able to give their best in different arenas when the ethical principles are not there. And if ethical principles are there, there are equal opportunities when due to which they are able to fully utilize their potential. For example, Jews community in India are best example of it. Next activities. Due to unfavorable situation, they get involved in illegal activities such as terrorism, drug trafficking, etc. When ethical principles are incorporated, they contribute to the society, they contribute to the development of the society as well as the country. So they become assets for that country. Peace and security. When ethical principles are not involved, there is improper integration with the society, which can lead to conflicts such as ideological, psychological, etc. For example, issues of Rohingyas exodus. When ethical principles are incorporated, it leads to more integration into the society. Principles of tolerance, sympathy, etc. are being upheld in the society. Next, how we can integrate ethical principles in policy making. First of all, equality and non-discrimination. States should address direct and indirect discrimination against and unequal treatment of people in laws, policy, and practices. Secondly, respecting human rights. Nations should refrain from human right violation of migrants. This includes refraining from arbitrary detention, torture, or collective expulsion. Then participation and inclusion. Migrants should be consulted and included in the development of the relevant policy, public policy. People-centric approach should be focused. It recognizes that migrants and refugees are men and women who make often difficult choices and deserve fair and decent treatment. They are people with identities, skills, cultures, and preferences. Next, accountability and rule of law. States should ensure transparency in the design and implementation of their policies and ensure that right holders have access to redress mechanisms and enjoy effective remedies when human rights breaches occur. The system governing migration should allow migrants full access to justice, including redress and remedies if they experience human rights violation. Then what are the rights promoted by ethical policy making? Right to freedom from torture, right to freedom of opinion and expression, right to freedom of thought, conscience and religion, freedom from discrimination, right to asylum, right to family, non-refoulement, obligation of state not to return a refugee to territories where his life has been threatened. And in concluding aspect, the policies related to migration and refugee needs to be comprehensive and broad in nature. Interest of the vulnerable needs to be given priority. Sustainable development goals will be achieved only when all people of the world will prosper. Now the second part of this lecture, we are going to cover the new schemes in news. First scheme is credit guarantee scheme for micro and small enterprises. Now a revamped scheme has been launched recently, and under this scheme, there will be credit guarantee for micro enterprises up to 85% if the loan is less than 5 lakh. If the loan is between 5 to 50 lakhs, it is 75%, and for loans above than 50 lakh, it is 75%. Similar things have been given for Northeast region, women entrepreneurship, and other categories of the borrowers. What is the objective of the scheme? First of all, to strengthen the credit delivery system. Secondly, availability of bank credit without hassles of collaterals and third-party guarantees. Also, it will enable access of finance for unserved, underserved, and underprivileged, making finance from conventional lenders to new generational entrepreneurs. Next is what are the salient features. This scheme was formally launched in 2000, and Ministry of Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises, Government of India, and SIDBI has established a trust. So three Ministry of MSME and SIDBI, they have established a trust known as Credit Guarantee Fund Trust for Micro and Small Enterprises for implementation of the scheme. The corpus is contributed by Government of India and SIDBI in the ratio of 4:1. Who are eligible entrepreneurs? Who are existing and new enterprises. Eligible activity: manufacturing services including trading, retail, wholesale trade, educational training institutions, etc. are not eligible for the coverage. So you have to remember which is not eligible. Eligible lending institutions: all scheduled commercial banks, selected regional rural banks, NBFCs, small finance banks, scheduled urban cooperatives, microfinancial institutions, etc. Eligible credit facility: fund and non-fund based credit facility up to 500 lakh per eligible borrowers are covered. Then annual guarantee fee. It will be charged on the guarantees provided for the first year on the outstanding amount for the remaining tenure of the credit facilities. Recently, guarantee fee for loans up to 1 lakh 1 crore is reduced by 50%, bringing the minimum guarantee fee to the level of 0.37% per annum only. Claim settlement. When accounts turn into NPAs, the lending institution may invoke the guarantee in respect of credit facility when accounts turn into NPAs. However, initiation of legal proceeding as a precondition for invoking the guarantee is now waived off for credit facility up to 10 lakh rupees. Earlier it was 5 lakh. Tenure of guarantee. The tenure of guarantee is agreed tenure of the term loan or composite credit. In case of working capital, the guarantee cover is up to 5 lakh or for a block of 5 years. The next is FAME scheme, faster adoption and manufacturing of hybrid and electric vehicle scheme. Government has achieved only 52% of the target in the last 4 years under the second phase of the FAME scheme. The objective of the FAME scheme was to increase the demand of hybrid electric vehicles, hybrid and electric vehicles and making them affordable and accessible. Also to reduce countries' dependence on fossil fuels and to reduce air pollution and mitigate the impact of the climate change. Ministry of Heavy Industry and Public Enterprises has implemented this scheme since 2015 and it is a part of National Mission on Electric Mobility. It was launched in 2013 to achieve 6 to 7 million sales of hybrid and electric vehicles per year on year from year 2020 onwards. The FAME scheme is implemented through following verticals: demand incentive, establishment of network of charging stations, administration of scheme including publicity, IEC, and activities, etc. Monitoring. The monitoring is done by the sanction committee headed by the Secretary Department of Heavy Industries. Phase 1 2015 to 19 it focused on following areas: technological development, demand generation, pilot project, and charging infrastructure component. FAME India Phase 2 2019 to 22 it focuses on electrification of public and shared transportation. The scheme aims to provide incentives to various categories of vehicles including electric two-wheelers, electric four-wheelers, hybrid four-wheelers, e-rickshaws and e-bus. FAME 2 redesigned 2022 to 24. Its schemes was redesigned based on the experience of COVID-19 pandemic, feedback from the industry and users. Achievements of FAME India Phase 2 till February 2022. Over 4.5 lakh electric vehicles have been supported, over 6,000 e-buses sanctioned, over 2,500 charging stations sanctioned, and sale of electric two-wheelers vehicles has increased. So this is the achievement of this FAME 2 scheme. Now the last part of this April 2020 current affairs is your appendix part. So in this appendix part, the contributions of the ancient India is first discussed. First is Buddhayan. His work was Sulabh Sutra and Shruta. And in this, Sulabh Sutra gives a complicational result of the mathematics that are being used for designing and construction of various elegant Vedic file altars. Sulabh Sutra was an explicit statement of Bodhyan theorem, which is also known as Pythagoras theorem. Then Pingala, his work was Chandra Shastra, presents the first known description of a binary numerical system. Then Aryabhatta, as you know, famous mathematician, astronomer, astrologer and physicist. His work was Aryabhatiya. He described a method of denoting the big decimal number by alphabets. Made contribution in number theory, geometry, trigonometry and Bij Granth or algebra. Then Brahmagupta, work Brahma Sput Siddhant, through which the Arabs came to know our mathematical system. Introduced negative numbers and operations on zero into mathematics. Then Bhaskaracharya, his work Siddhant Shiromani is divided into 4 sections: Leelavati arithmetic, Bij Ganit algebra, Goldhya sphere and Graha Ganit mathematics of planet. Introduced Chakravarti method or cyclic method for solving algebraic equations. So these are important for you. Then Mahavir Charya, Ganit Sar Sangrah, which is the first textbook of arithmetic in present day form. Current method of solving least common multiple of given number was also described by him. Then Narayana Pandit, Ghatika Kamudi, he gave Tura Gati method for constructing 4 into 4 magic square. Then Yajurved introduced the names of the power of 10 up to 10 raised to power 12. Talakshana, a term from the Buddhist tradition, represented 10 raised to 55. First astronomical object found in the Andaman belongs to the Paleolithic era. Some 12,000 years ago. They are calendar sticks noting the waxing and waning of the moon by incising daily notches in the wooden stick. Aryabhat described the unit of time and features of the celestial spheres, described the earth as a rotating sphere hanging in space, and produced a table of the planet's mean position. Also gave a correct explanation for both lunar and solar eclipses and stated that the diameter of the earth is 1050 yajnas, close to the actual dimension. Then Vahamira, work Panch Siddhanta. He extensively discussed the revolutions of the planet eclipses and zodiac, often with an astrological background. Then Brahmgupt is Brahmasupta Siddhanta, dealt with a variety of astronomical instruments like a water clock, Ghati Yantra, consisting of a ball with small holes at the bottom which would sink exactly in 24 minutes if placed over water. Then Ganoman, a short stick kept vertically for the study of the motion of the shadow. It was through his work the Arabs learned of the Indian astronomy. Waxing method is a moon that gets more sunlight on it as the days go by. It is often after we experience a new moon up to full moon. Waning moon is after the full moon and will remain waning until again experiences new moon. Now there are some places that are in the news. You can read this map from the notes itself. Lastly, there are places in the news in India also. You can read directly from the news from this page itself. It is given. There is nothing more to explain here. Now personalities in news. Jagat Guru Bhaswaracharya. He was born in Karnataka in 12th century. He was a social reformer. Anubhav Mannap facilitated the gathering of philosophy and experience, Vachan literature and Lingyat movement in the South India. So it is important. Then Bhasva Puran, written by Palkuriki Somnatha in 13th century, holds full account of Bhaswana's life and ideas. He rejected gender and caste discrimination, superstition and rituals. A strong promoter of ahimsa, non-violence, he condemns human and animal sacrifices. His philosophy was based on the principles Arivu, true knowledge, and Achar, right conduct, and Anubhav, divine experience. He developed and inspired a new devotional movement named Veer Shaiv, an ardent, heroic worshipper of Shiva. Egalitarianism and dignity of labor. He advocated for dignity of manual labor and its right to be recognized. Babu Jagjeevan Ram. He was born in Bihar, was a freedom fighter and leader of Untouchable. His contribution was 1934. He founded the Akhil Bharatiya Ravidas Mahasabha and All India Depressed Classes League. In 1935, he appeared before Hammered Commission Mahasabha and All India Depressed Class League. In 1935, he for the first time advocated for voting rights for the Dalit in the Hammered Commission. Next, he demanded civil disobedience movement, Satyagraha movement, and he participated in civil disobedience movement, Satyagraha movement, and Quit India movement. Then he was courageous and visionary. He was fearless leader who stood up against the injustice and discrimination faced by Dalit and other marginalized communities. He has a clear vision for a just and equitable society and tirelessly bring about social change to ensure that voice of the oppressed was heard. So this was a contribution of this great personality. Second one is Keshav Rao Baliram Hedgewar. He was a freedom fighter and India's independence was his only goal. In student life, he pioneered the Vande Mataram unit movement and came in contact with the great revolutionaries like Arvind Ghosh, Bhai Parmanand, Sukhdev and Rajguru. He was selfless and patriotism. He was a selfless individual who dedicated his life to the cause of the national unity and social upliftment. He was a true patriot who loved his country deeply and aimed to promote self-reliance and independence from the foreign rule. C.Y. Chintamani. Chira U.V. Yajneshwar Chintamani was born in April 10, 1980 in Andhra Pradesh. He regarded Gopal Krishna Gokhale as his political mentor and in 1898 he joined Congress. He was appointed as the editor of the Vizag Spectator newspaper and later became editor when the name was changed India Herald. The leaders English nationalist newspaper was first joint editors were Chintamani and Ganendranath Gupta. Chintamani left Congress in 1988 and formed the Liberal Party with Surendranath Banerjee, Dingsha Wangcha, Chinamal Selvad and Tej Bahadur Sapru. He was appointed as the Education Ministry for the United Province under Government of India Act of 1919. He was the leader of opposition in UP Legislative Council from 1927 to 36. In 1930, he was invited as a delegate for the first Roundtable Conference in London and was knighted in 1939, but he never stopped criticizing the British Raj. He was open-minded, that's for sure. Next is V.V. Subramaniam Iyer. He visited India House in London. He started from there itself. Then he arrived in Puducherry and taught youth how to use weapons and also delivered weapons to other revolutionaries. He worked on the English translation of Veer Savarkar's Marathi book Swatantra Summer of 1857. Then Iyer met Mahatma Gandhi in Puducherry in 1917 and became a supporter of non-violence. Iyer was the editor of the Tamil magazine Deshbhaktan. He is still regarded as the father of modern Tamil short story. Respect for diversity and creativity. He was fluent in several languages and respected the diversity of the culture and ideas. Then Sagarmal Gopa. Sagarmal led the outlawed Praja Mandal and inspired people in Jaisalmer and surrounding areas to join freedom struggle. In 1920, Sagarmal joined Mahatma Gandhi's non-cooperation movement and encouraged the people of Jaisalmer to join it. Then Sagarmal mentioned Jawahar Singh Jaisalmer's rulers' atrocities in his book Gunda Raj of Jaisalmer and inspired public to join the freedom movement. Justice and leadership. By highlighting the atrocities of Jaisalmer's ruler, he stood for the people's justice. You can use this data information about and given in the appendix part in your mains answers because the questions are also being asked upon personalities, and also prelims also you find that some questions are being asked upon these aspects, so you can use them these things there. So with this, the April magazine has been completed. Now we are going to bring up the next edition, that is May magazine, from Monday onwards. So thank you very much, and I hope that you have enjoyed the magazine with me. And please join our initiative. It is hardly 599 rupees, and you can easily join by scanning this QR code given in the video. Also, a link has been provided under the video, and you can use that link to subscribe in our initiative. So thank you very much and have a very nice day.